Our story begins with the car accident of our main protagonist, Liu Feng, who was talking to his sister, Liu Xintong, while delivering food. The truck driver who hit Liu Feng flees the scene, seemingly angry instead of apologizing to him. Xintong calls out to her brother repeatedly after hearing loud noises from his side. Liu Feng lies on the road, reminiscing about his past and why he is doing this job. Liu Xintong is actually suffering from black blood disease. Liu Feng dropped out of school 3 years ago and has been working as a delivery boy to pay off a loan of several million, which he used to buy a surgical implant chip for his sister's cure. Liu Feng gathers his remaining energy and reaches for his mobile. He clicks on an application and a message pops up informing him that a genetic virus has spread throughout the city and 99.87% of social order will collapse. The system identifies Liu Feng as a low-class civilian and grants him minimum permissions as a Doomsday refugee. Liu Feng wakes to a sweet fragrance. Shocked to see he is lying in the lap of a beautiful lady, the lady introduces herself as Kenny, who happens to be the CEO of Litten Group, the headquarters of Full Tummy Company where Liu Feng works. She tells Feng to rest up as she calls for an ambulance. Liu Feng checks the system alerts, informing him that his life bar has dropped to 9% and he will die in 3 minutes. Following the system's suggestion, he quickly scans his surroundings for a power source to restore his life. He then spots a car, drags himself toward it, and starts absorbing its power. As Kenny turns around to inform Feng about the ambulance, he is already gone, knowing he couldn't afford the ambulance expenses, especially now that he is fully healed. As Liu Feng processes his thoughts about his newfound powers, he receives a call from his girlfriend, Shen Qian. She questions why he hasn't contacted her for so long and asks if he is available today. Liu Feng apologizes, explaining that he needs to be with his sister and can't meet her. Annoyed, Shen Qian declares their relationship over, saying that Liu Feng had millions to spend on his sister's treatment, but couldn't buy her a Louis Vuitton bag. As Liu Feng tries to explain his situation, she abruptly hangs up, stating that she already has a new boyfriend. Liu Feng sits there, broke, drowning in debt for his sister, with his scooter broken and his body covered in injuries. In frustration, he wishes the world would just end, unaware that his wish was about to come true. Liu Feng suddenly receives a call from his sister and is shocked to hear her trembling voice as she tearfully explains that some strange people have entered the hospital. Liu Feng reassures her that he will come immediately and hangs up, only to curse his luck upon seeing his broken scooter. The system informs Liu Feng that a power source is located 500 meters away in the woods and suggests converting it into points to repair his scooter. Meanwhile, in a van parked deep within the woods, Shen Qian sits beside an old man, sweetly asking him to buy her an AI chip, emphasizing that they have always been together and that she has already broken up with her poor ex. The old man smirks, his eyes lingering on her body, and remarks that AI chips are a symbol of status and wealth nowadays. In the year 120 of the new era, technology advanced at an explosive rate, leading to the creation of AI chips. As Qian and the old man exchange suggestive glances while discussing their unholy intentions, a dark figure suddenly appears at the window, shocking the old man. The figure is revealed to be Liu Feng, who without hesitation absorbs power from the van and immediately leaves. A system message pops up, informing Liu Feng that his scooter has been modified, its speed increased by 30%, with 300 points still remaining. He soon realizes that the number of points he received directly corresponds to the amount of power he absorbed, and that the system modified his scooter precisely according to his needs. Liu Feng arrives at Bluebird Hospital after an hour, only to be greeted by a horrifying sight. Blood splattered everywhere and the security guard nowhere to be found. As he steps inside and cautiously looks around, a man suddenly stumbles out of a doorway, murmuring something about his dog. As Liu Feng approaches him, he recognizes the man as a dog lover who used to constantly ask him to buy dog food. But as Feng steps closer, the man suddenly lunges at him, revealing his grotesque state, veins bulging all over his body and intestines partially exposed. Liu Feng stumbles backward in shock and falls at the feet of a woman he recognizes as his sister's attending physician. Before he can explain his situation, she too leaps at him, revealing a terrifying mutated face that sends Feng flying back in panic. Pinned against a door, Liu watches in horror as more strange people begin emerging, drawn by the noise. He quickly slips into the room behind him, barely managing to keep the creatures out. As he scans the room, his eyes lock onto a computer screen showing his sister, with blood vessels protruding across her face. A system alert suddenly pops up, warning, the girl is in the mutation stage. In the current era, as artificial intelligence continues to integrate into human life, global power is divided among 3 major alliances: the Dawn Alliance, centered around 3 East Asian nations, New Rome, and the Heaven's Blessing Alliance. The abuse of genetic technology has led to the spread of numerous diseases, the most terrifying of which is black blood disease. It causes patients to experience limb stiffness and blackening of the blood, ultimately leading to death. Its only cure lies in the most expensive medical chips. Liu Feng was just an ordinary commoner after his parents passed away and his younger sister was the only family he had left. He remembers the day she sat silently by a riverbank with a sorrowful look on her face. When Feng asked what's wrong, she revealed that she knew he had taken out a loan of several million to cure her disease and had to drop off school to pay it off. She collapsed into his arms, saying that he shouldn't have come as she had been planning to jump into the river to end it all and finally free him from this burden, with tears in her eyes. Meanwhile, in the present, the mutants were pushing in as Liu Feng barely held the door, taking care not to get bitten. Suddenly, the system triggered a mission. Mission 1, hide in the surveillance room, which had a 95% survival rate for 2 days, but he would die of starvation after that. Mission 2, rescue his sister, who was in the basement, which would reward him with 1,000 points, but only had a 5% survival rate, with a warning that his sister had started mutating. Frustrated by the ridiculous missions with an obvious choice, Liu Feng demanded a map to the basement. The system informed him there was an entrance through the laundry room 50 meters to the left after exiting. Liu Feng locked the door with a stick and started preparing to go outside using the items available in the room and his modification ability. Just then, Shintong's attending physician broke through the door and jumped on Feng, but was met with the burning flames of Liu Feng's new rank D weapon, the flame spear, made by combining a mop, knife, and scooter fuel to create a long-handled weapon whose high-temperature flames could easily cut through flesh. Feng also made plastic hand and shoulder guards from delivery boxes to avoid zombie bites. Liu Feng charged at the mutants at the door, burning every single one who stood in his way. After fighting for a grueling 10 minutes, Liu Feng finally breaks out, feeling nauseous after killing a human for the first time. He quickly pulls himself together and heads toward the laundry entrance. 2 minutes later, when he arrives at the location, he angrily yells at the system as how is he supposed to go through a narrow laundry chute, but thinking about his sister's suffering, he clenches his teeth and jumps in. His armor falls apart during the drop. After a hard crash, he opens his eyes only to see his sister being carried away by a group of soldiers. An announcement is made for the Reaper squad to report to headquarters, but when one of the commandos tries to respond, he realizes the comms are down. Another soldier remarks how easy their mission was, saying the target didn't resist at all. The first replies that he didn't expect a legendary mutant to be just a young girl. The squad reaches their lieutenant from the government's Reaper's Special Ops Unit, who orders them to contact headquarters immediately. She has a bad feeling about the whole situation. Just then, Liu Feng calls out to his sister, alerting the lieutenant. As he continues shouting, someone grabs him from behind and pulls him back. The lieutenant quickly orders the soldiers to investigate the room. Hearing familiar voices, Shintong suddenly becomes active and kills a nearby soldier. The others immediately open fire, but she swiftly escapes through a ventilation shaft. The sound of gunfire draws nearby mutants, and soon the entire Reaper squad is surrounded. Meanwhile, the person who grabbed Liu Feng is revealed to be security guard Luo Zhang. When Liu Feng asks what those creatures are, Luo Zhang explains that the Heavens Alliance is at war, and someone detonated a bomb, causing all mutated chip users to turn. He adds that Liu Feng's sister is a special case, as the soldiers seemed interested in her and took her away. Suddenly, a nearby mutant catches their scent. Liu Feng urges Luo Zhang to flee together, but Luo Zhang quietly reveals that he's already been bitten. Liu Feng, shocked, tries to find another way, but Luo Zhang tells him to run. He had seen how Liu Feng took care of his sister, and now he would hold the mutants back. With no choice, Liu Feng runs away with tears in his eyes, remembering how Luo Zhang used to give him extra food. Frustrated by the loss, Liu Feng angrily asks the system where his sister is. The system alerts him that there is a black blood serum nearby and issues 2 missions. The first is to escape to the underground research facility with a 90% survival rate. The second is to go to the laboratory to find the serum and save his sister, with only a 15% chance of survival. The reward for the first mission is a combat suit, while the second offers a blueprint for building a shelter. Liu Feng chooses the second option without hesitation and charges into the group of mutants, ignoring the system's warning that his combat ability is not sufficient. But he proves the system wrong, reaching the laboratory after sacrificing his weapon in the process. As soon as he arrives, Shintong attacks him from above, but instead of dodging, Liu Feng catches her in his arms and slowly calms her down. But Shintong, still under the influence of the virus, goes berserk and pushes Liu Feng away. The system urges Liu Feng to quickly use the nearby serum. As he takes it out, a security alert goes off, announcing that the sample has been stolen and the research facility will self-destruct in 10 minutes. Liu Feng quickly injects the serum into Shintong. She returns to normal, recognizing her brother before passing out from exhaustion. The system announces that the mission to save his sister is complete and that her mutation has been temporarily halted. The rewards are 1,000 points and 1 shelter blueprint, then issues 2 new missions. The first is to abandon his sister and escape back to the first floor through the laundry chute with a 100% survival rate. The second is to reach the utility room in the underground facility and use the blueprint to modify it into a shelter capable of withstanding the explosion, but with only a 40% survival rate. A special note warns that deploying a shelter here will reduce his reputation score. Liu Feng chooses the second option and starts running toward the utility room, following the system's map with 9 minutes remaining before the facility explodes. A person suddenly blocks their path. It's the female lieutenant Liu Feng saw earlier. As he steps forward to explain and propose a truce, he's momentarily distracted by her alluring appearance, but with renewed resolve, he asks her to come with them to safety. To his shock, she has already mutated and lunges at him. Liu Feng quickly grabs his sister, exits the hallway, and seals the door. The system pops up with a warning. A high danger level mutant is nearby. Moments later, the mutant breaks through the door and begins chasing them. Liu Feng tries to use his modification ability, but the system informs him there are no materials nearby to synthesize. The mutant catches up and grabs Liu Feng. Just as he braces for death, Shintong jumps from his arms and attacks the creature. While admiring his sister's strength, Liu Feng hears the announcement that the facility will explode in 3 minutes. Wasting no time, he runs toward the utility room with Shintong, only to realize the mutant is still alive and chasing them. Fortunately, Liu Feng reaches the utility room with 8 seconds left. He slams the door shut and immediately applies the shelter blueprint, successfully withstanding the explosion. As the smoke clears in the second-level basement of the hospital, Liu Feng slowly emerges from the dust, relieved to find himself still alive. However, his expression quickly shifts to shock as he checks his surroundings. The system announces that the shelter has been successfully modified into a level 1 refuge, officially registering Liu Feng as a Doomsday refugee. But as he surveys the cramped and shabby space, disappointment sets in. The system explains that this is only the first level, and to expand or improve the shelter, Liu Feng must upgrade his system. Liu Feng uses 50 points to modify a nearby broken computer. The system confirms the upgrade, stating the device can now connect to the network. Impressed by the outcome, Liu Feng reflects on how powerful his modification ability is, even managing a stable connection despite the poor signal. Glancing over, he notices his sister still unconscious and asks the system about her condition. The system reports that the serum has temporarily delayed the progression of both the black blood disease and the chip genetic virus. Curious, Liu Feng questions whether the same serum could be used to cure the zombies outside, but the system quickly shuts down the thought, explaining that the serum is only effective against those infected by the black blood strain. Unlike ordinary zombies, these infected are far more dangerous, classified by the system as mutated species. Liu Feng asks if the system was referring to zombies like the mutated lieutenant they encountered earlier. The system clarifies that her case was just a standard zombie mutation, while those infected with the black blood disease belong to a completely different species, beings that evolved to stand at the top of the food chain. Realizing the serum only offers a temporary delay, Liu Feng silently vows to find a permanent cure for his sister. Now connected to the network, he attempts to contact the authorities, believing the country must have prepared a solution, but terror washes over him as he scrolls through the news. Multiple broadcasts announce this as their final transmission, reporting that the global infection count has reached 5 billion. Other headlines confirm the collapse of the government, a citywide chip infection affecting over 30 million, and the complete defeat of the military, which has retreated to the riverbank. Online forums reveal a disturbing shift, with some survivors claiming they have enough food and are now only looking for a beautiful woman to spend the rest of their days with. Liu Feng is devastated, finally accepting the grim possibility that this might truly be the end of the world. Liu Feng demands the system to tell him if there's any way to fully cure his sister. The system responds that the only solution lies in unlocking the Vaccine Research Center, a facility that becomes accessible only when the shelter reaches level 5. When Liu Feng asks for the blueprint, the system pulls up his current status and delivers a brutal evaluation, labeling him as nothing more than a scrap of metal. It goes so far as to suggest he should consider death, so the system can bind to a more qualified human. Mocked and frustrated, Liu Feng realizes he's not yet allowed to view high-level blueprints and must first increase both his rank and shelter level. The system explains that upgrading to the next stage requires completing all blueprints associated with the Level 1 Research Institute. A store interface appears before him, showcasing available blueprints and weapons, all far too expensive for his current resources. Curious, Liu Feng asks about a warning that reads, "Ventilation shaft severely damaged." The system warns that the shelter's ventilation shaft, damaged during the earlier explosion, will cause a complete oxygen depletion in 5 hours unless repaired. It recommends purchasing a replacement shaft from the store for 200 points. However, Liu Feng opts for a more resourceful approach. He buys metal ingots for 30 points and uses another 30 points to synthesize the damaged shaft with the ingots, successfully restoring the shaft. A message confirms the repair and rewards him with +2 reputation. Pleased with his clever workaround, Liu Feng resolves to continue using his modification ability for repairs, saving his points for valuable high-tech blueprints. He then proceeds to create toilet paper and lubricant for reasons unknown, only to be distracted by a deeper concern of Shintong's noticeable memory loss. The system informs him that her mind has regressed to that of a 7-year-old, though she still recognizes Liu Feng as her brother. Recalling Shintong's childhood face, Liu Feng silently vows to cure her completely and help her become an exceptional girl again. However, in a clumsy moment, he shatters the lubricant bottle in his hand, waking Shintong, who immediately accuses him of being a pervert upon seeing the suspicious scene. Devastated, Liu Feng watches the ideal image of himself in his sister's eyes crumble. Meanwhile, high above the hospital, aboard a helicopter, a subordinate informs Captain Lee that contact with the vice captain and others has been lost, but the primary target's signal remains active. Without hesitation, Captain Lee jumps from the aircraft and commands the Reaper squad to move in.